Looking to do something dramatically different for your fantasy draft? Go to Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. From now through week 1 of the regular season, you'll get 18 holes of golf, a private dining room for your fantasy draft, plus nachos, wings, non-alcoholic beverages, and you'll save $1 on all premium liquor and draft beer. Packages start as low as $75 a person. Yes, I said golf at Whirlwind and draft your fantasy team while eating the best wings in the city. If you're interested, just email me, Doug@DougFranzUnplugged.com, and have everybody else look at your draft board and feel the wind.
Thanks for listening, Unplugged Army. I'm Louis Unga, General Manager at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. We're proud to present Doug Franz Unplugged.
Form an offense.
Form an offense.
4 minutes.
Form an offense. Form an offense.
Everything you need to know in sports that affects Maricopa County, the state of Arizona, and the world, you get in 4 minutes. We start things off in Arlington, Texas. Diamondbacks a winner 3-2 in an absolutely fantastic baseball game. Ketel Marte, 2 for 4 at the plate, including getting robbed of a base hit in the first and a walk in the third inning. He had an RBI single in the 7th to tie it up, and then a solo homer immediately following a Torey Lovello ejection to take the lead in the ninth. Ketel, what were you thinking when Torey was ejected?
As a player, we never want the manager to throw out, but it's part of the game. Torey just protect everybody. And as part of the game, I mean, I'll just go out there and compete and put my best swing every time.
Marte also made 3 fantastic defensive plays. The series is on the line this morning in Game 3. Zach Allen's 9-12 with a 5.31 ERA, and he's going up against Merrill Kelly. Boy, does that sound weird. Kelly is 9-7 with a 3.38 ERA, mostly with the Diamondbacks. He'll throw the first pitch at 11:35 this morning. Cardinals are done practicing this week in Arizona. However, they have a joint practice scheduled tomorrow in Denver against the Broncos. They fly out today. After practice yesterday, head coach Jonathan Gannon was asked about the resilience he saw from his team against Kansas City, and he specifically targeted his quarterback.
Kyler, he throws a bad interception, as he would say, a bad ball, and then the next play he comes out and throws just an absolute dime for an explosive pass. That shows resiliency. He was able to let that go, get focused back into what he needs to do, and perform.
Cardinals will have a light practice on Friday, then they take on the Broncos Saturday night in Denver, kickoff 6:30. ASU head coach Kenny Dillingham met with the media after practice yesterday. Coach, how'd it go?
Good response by the offense today. Offense, quote unquote, won the day, if you want to say that. We had 3 real periods of scrimmage, and they scored 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, field goal to win a 2-minute drill.
We're 2.5 weeks out of college football. ASU hosts NAU on Saturday the 30th. U of A is home against Hawaii. Last night, a couple things in baseball that you should know about. Pete Alonso hit 2 home runs, the first of which passes Darryl Strawberry for the most home runs in Mets history. Alonso now has 254 to Strawberry's 252. Pete, how focused are you on this moment in baseball history where you're standing on top of the Mets list?
I mean, a little bit, but it's really not going to settle in because right now we're in the thick of a playoff race. I don't really want to make this about myself, because this is about the team. This is about guys fighting every single day.
Shocking result in Milwaukee as Paul Skeens gave up 4 runs in 4 innings. Then Milwaukee put another 10 runs on the board on the Pittsburgh bullpen and won 14-0. And it's always good when the Dodgers lose. Angels have taken the first 2 games of a 3-game series. In 10 innings, the Angels won 7-6 last night. Couple that with the Padres beating the Giants. And San Diego has actually worked all the way up into a first-place tie with the Dodgers. And in NFL news, Travis Kelce made a little bit of a shocking admission in a GQ cover story. He admits that his numbers and production might have slipped a little bit because he's been a little too focused on setting himself up after football, meaning his focus on the entertainment industry. Today, it's expected that his podcast, New Heights with Jason and Travis Kelce, will set a record for the most views ever of a podcast. Why? Travis is going to have his girlfriend on the show. And finally, Minnesota has lost something. They lost lake. They lost a lake. I guess they're no longer the land of 10,000 lakes. Lake Alice is a man-made lake that is in William O'Brien State Park. Much like Tempe Town Lake, Lake Alice was just a stream until the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources built a dike that then blocked the water and created the lake. Due to heavy storms leading up into the weekend, the Department of Natural Resources decided to open up the dike and drain a little bit of excess water. There was just one problem. They couldn't shut it off. They couldn't get the dike reclosed, and all of the water came rushing out. Wayne Borner's the manager of the state park, and he sounds a little bitter. We had water flowing consistently, and we could not stop it because we have parts from 1961 when the dike was built. They need replaced at this point, and we don't have the tools to make that happen. It was a 26-acre lake, and now it's a small little stream that's trickling into the St. Croix River.
The reason why I always say that Bell's is not your typical country bar with mediocre bar food is because our kitchen is truly a scratch kitchen. From every single sauce that we make, to every dish, to the beef that we have come in, to the seafood that we have brought in each day, every single dish is handcrafted. We don't have microwaves, so you're tasting that quality the minute that it hits the table.
Bell's Nashville Kitchen on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale.
You found home, down home.
I don't know why this feeling comes over me. Do you ever get like this? You want something, but it becomes a math problem. Do you want it bad enough to get up? I mean, once I'm sitting down, I don't like getting up. But do I want it bad enough to get up and get it? Yes, I do. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever it is that you've decided to make Doug Franz Unplugged a part of your day, my family greatly appreciates it. My name is Doug Franz, and you have found the only podcast in the world totally devoted to the coverage of the 4 major sports franchises of one great American city that drops on your phone each and every weekday morning. We also cover ASU, U of A, GCU, the Rattlers, the Rising, and the Merc. This is Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. How are you? I'm almost tempted just to leave the recording go with dead air while I go get it. But I think that's asking too much. I would not listen to your podcast with 3 minutes of dead air. So I will stop the tape to go get it. Hooray, beer! Okay, that was about 2 minutes of dead air that I erased for an A Mountain Amber Ale. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So good. Okay. Sorry about that. I was, as soon as I hit record, I started going, wait a minute. I was thinking about getting a beer and I never did. So it's now officially a Beer Wednesday, if that's okay. Hopefully everything's going well in your life. I am completely jacked up. It's 2:39 in the morning right now. So I know I'm going to get the podcast done on time. And I slept until 2:15. I got to bed at about 7 this morning and slept all the way until 2:15. That was crazy for me to get over 5 hours of sleep. So I am completely wired. Today, big day. I am going to be having happy hour with a member of the Phoenix Suns Media Relations Department. So jacked up about that. Just to kind of reconnect. And hopefully I have a better handle on the world going into this Sun season because I'm really excited about this group. Really excited. I know it sounds weird because I don't think they're going to be very good. I think the Suns will make the play-in tournament this year, which obviously is better than last year, but come on. We all know last year was a joke. I just believe that much in the intensity of Jordan Ott and the learning and the growth rate of some of the players and simply the work ethic and sacrifice that I believe this team will do in order to get to where they need to go. I'm fired up, and hopefully I can relate my opinions like that to them, and they'll be willing to allow me to get a little bit closer from a player standpoint than I've asked before. You know, when there's superstars there, you can't get all that close. And now that there's not superstars, it should go well. So I'm looking forward to it. But that's it. Today might be a little bit of a shorter show, except I want you to know we have about a 12-minute conversation with Angel from Burrito Express. I like to do this from time to time. Whenever there's a big event, I want any of our sponsors to know that they can always come on and talk about it. But I kind of have one condition. You need to be part of the Unplugged Army. I don't want just an advertiser on here that's not in the Unplugged Army. You know what I mean? I want somebody that, if they're part of the group with us, then I have no problem with them coming on and talking to you about being in the group. And Angel certainly fits that bill. So they've got Burrito Express has a huge event coming up on the 24th, and he's really hoping to blow it up. And this is kind of where, I've talked to you about when I have an event, we are on the spot. If I'm telling an advertiser, I'm telling a school, hey, the Unplugged Army is coming, and we lay an egg, we lose access. We lose opportunities. And I get it. You've got your life, and it's not your job to run this podcast or influence advertisers / teams in the university to follow us and to respect us. That's my job. But the only way I can do that is by offering you to them. And when you show up, that makes them go, oh, wow. When you go to 100 Mile Brewing Company and take a picture of your food and tag them, they see it like, oh, okay, look at this. This is the Unplugged Army, impressing. If you go to Trophy and you walk up to them and shake Jeff Marley's hand or shake Russell's hand and say, hey, I just wanted you to know I'm in the Unplugged Army. I'm here because you are a part of Doug Franz Unplugged. Wow, that does something. And think about our number one sponsor. There are places for you to golf that are a little cheaper, right? We know that. But I don't think you will ever, and I'm being, I just rewatched My Cousin Vinny, so I hope you don't have kids in the car, but that, what is it, dead on balls accurate or whatever Marissa Tomei says. It's so funny. But I totally believe that you can't find a golf course in this city where you combine all aspects of what you're looking for. I mean, challenging but fun course in great shape, a food at Civic that's top notch for breakfast or lunch, on top of knowledgeable staff that's really happy that you're there, but legitimately, it's not like a stuck-up cheesiness to it like you might find at a huge upscale course for the, hello, Mr. Smith, I'm glad you're here, and people acting fake that they're glad you're there. I mean, the staff genuinely, that's what I mean. They just have everything, and even though it's more expensive than a Muni and stuff, and it's an expensive course, it's not even remotely as expensive as other places that aren't as nice or don't take as good a care of you when you're there. Okay, all of that, you get that at Whirlwind. And I went a little long on this example, but my point is that Angel is sticking his neck out coming up on the 24th for Burrito Express. I mean, he's sticking his neck out, and with all the guys from ASU, he's trying to get Graham Rossini, the athletic director, and Kenny Dillingham, the head football coach, to stop by on the 24th. Well, imagine if they stop by. I'm being totally serious. They stop by Burrito Express. Their players are there signing autographs, and there's nobody outside. And they walk in, and they see one Sun Devil fan. Like, can you feel that? I mean, feel that as an entrepreneur who is trying to do more than just about anybody else in the community. And that's the response. I mean, honestly, Graham would look at it and be like, Angel, we're really happy. Please keep doing what you're doing. But Graham's not going to say yes to go to a lot more of those. Now let's go on the flip side. Imagine, and I mean, I don't think this is outrageous. Imagine a line of 9 or 10 people in the store, another, say, 30 people outside eating burritos, hanging out and talking. And they're all in ASU gear. And suddenly Kenny Dillingham pulls up to that. And it's a mini pep rally. It's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. And ASU is forced to look at Burrito Express and say, we need that. We need to do more as an institution to support that. That's what we want. And I feel like you and I, when we look at Burrito Express, we're looking at the number 3 sponsor ever in the history of Doug Franz Unplugged. And I mean, it went bang, bang, bang as far as everything that Mikey's done for us at Bell's Nashville Kitchen, right into the beauty of Parker and Sons, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. But man, I've been endorsing them since about 2010 at the station. And that family, the Kellys, just dear friends of mine. And they were the second group of people that called me after I got fired and just told me flat out, whatever you do, if you stay in town, we're with you. I'm like, wow, that kind of loyalty. So with Angel being one of the pioneers, I really, if I can ask you, I didn't make it a sanctioned event because it's a Sunday morning. And I admit, I don't even know if I can get there. I've got to get to Mass Saturday night in order to be available Sunday morning. And I will never expect you to be somewhere Sunday morning because I really want to save Sundays as your potential family time. But whatever you've got going, can you look at your calendar? May 24th, 9/2/11 is the opportunity. Sorry for that long. I mean, that was kind of weird for me to go 7 minutes on one event, but it's just my passion for the people that are a part of the show. And I hope you're okay with that. All right, let's get to it. Time for Doug's big one. It's my number one opinion of the day. Doug.
Where's Doug? Sorry, Doug. Where you at?
Yeah, was that a plug to unplug right there? That was smooth.
Obviously, Franz is such a good player.
Doug's big one. If Ketel Marte would focus like that for about 135 to 130 to 135 games a year, he would be the MVP of the National League. And that's Doug's big one. Nothing more to say. Ketel Marte was absolutely fantastic. No, I don't take back anything I've ever said about him. I love the guy as a person. I think he's wonderful to his teammates. He's a really kind-hearted man. He's the type of guy you root for, but I'm the guy that likes the grinders. Like, do you remember the former Diamondback Brandon Drury? That guy was more intense than I could ever dream of being. I loved that guy. He's not very good, but I don't care. His idea was, you know what? If I'm not going well, I'm going to work even harder. Instead of spending 30 minutes in the cage, I'll spend 45. And if the slump gets worse, I'll spend 60. And then when I break out of the slump, well, it's working, so I won't stop spending 60 minutes in the cage. You know, that's who he was. I love those guys. Ketel Marte is not that guy. Ketel Marte is the type of guy that tells himself how hard he worked, even though he really didn't work as hard as he says he does. I shouldn't say that. There are certain people that think they're working very hard, so they're not lying. But they don't put in the time like the Peyton Mannings of the world, the Brandon Drurys of the world, you know, whoever, who are incredibly intense. And Ketel in this game was so tremendous, but he never got wrapped up into the flare. He just did it. Made a great play on the second hitter of the game, Corey Seager, shut him down on a great play. And then in the 6th inning, made a tremendous play. And then in the 9th inning, ranging far behind first base, wheeling around and throwing. Beautiful. And that's just his defense. Got robbed by the third baseman on a ground ball that he would have had a hit in the 1st inning. And then coaxed a walk. Hit one down the right field line that wasn't, a hard play, but it wasn't a soft liner either, and was out. So he's now 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base going up to the plate in the 7th inning. 7th inning, there's a base hit of all things by Jose Herrera and a bunt attempt by Geraldo Perdomo in which he sacrifices Herrera, but gets on. By the way, did you see the Herrera hit? If you haven't seen the game, Herrera got a hit on a comebacker, which is a fair base hit. I mean, he hit it hard and the pitcher knocked it down. And then the pitcher decided to try this Bartolo Colon flip it into the camera well. It was just one of the top 5 dumbest plays of the year. So Herrera is now on second and then drop a bunt down to get Herrera to third. But it just so happens that this third baseman charged the play and then fumbled the ball. And now Perdomo's safe at first. If you're wondering how you score that, he still gets scored with a sacrifice, so it's not a time at bat, but he's on base by an error. So now there's runners on first and third and nobody out and Ketel Marte up. And Marte needs to come through right there. Got to come through. And he does with an RBI single. And then in the 9th, Perdomo strikes out on a ball. You would have to see it. You decide whether it was an inch low or 2 inches low. Home plate umpire Nate Tomlinson was a disaster last night equally for both teams. It's not the type of game where you say, oh, he cost us the game. No, he didn't cost anybody the game. He was terrible for everybody. The amount of pitches that weren't necessarily where you would call close, like not the edge of the strike zone, just flat whiffs on his part. He was terrible. And Torey Lovullo lost his mind after Perdomo struck out. And I honestly felt like Ketel Marte focused even more. He was focused all game, but I felt like after the ejection, something clicked with Ketel of no one has taken more bullets for me than that man. And he hit one that I don't know if this was true, but it was funny reading Nick Picoro's rundown in the paper where he said the ball was in flight for less than 5 seconds. It was a rocket. And now the Diamondbacks have a 3-2 lead. And you turn around and he makes the play that I described earlier in the bottom of the 9th inning for the second out. It's unfair for you to look at Ketel Marte's performance and say, do that all the time. Okay, there's no way he's going to go 2 for 4 for the rest of his career with 1 stolen base, 1 home run, and 2 RBIs every game. That's not the point, though. You can focus like that all the time. That's the difference. He was locked in yesterday. I don't know if, and I don't say this as a jerk, I don't know if he's soft, so when he gets small injuries, it takes his focus away. But he doesn't normally focus like he did. I do believe that his personality is such that he plays the game for great fun. And that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Have a good time. But the catch is the fun is winning. The fun isn't the flair of, hey, watch me have this wind up tag. There's do you remember the play against the Padres when Machado is sliding into second? The throw beat Machado and Ketel's holding the ball in front of the bag like, look, I got you. You're a dead duck. And he's staring at Machado's face, trying to look him in the eye like, hey, let's have fun here. And he's smiling at him. You're about to slide into the ball. Machado keeps competing, slides around the tag, and he's safe. Ketel never thought, wait, why don't you look at his foot and figure out how to get your glove on his foot before his foot gets on your base? How about that? And Ketel's just looking, look, I got the ball. Machado's like, hey, look, I'm safe. That, to me, is the Ketel Marte that drives me nuts. And I hate to say it, quite frankly, I just don't respect it. I don't understand. Like, to me, that's just cashing a paycheck. If you want to go have fun, play in a wiffle ball league. I've even seen that on ESPN lately. But if you're a professional, sure, have a good time, have fun, but have a good time by winning, by beating the other team. Focus on the job. And I just wanted to take a huge segment today and say Ketel was incredible. That was an MVP game yesterday. I'm sorry to be a jerk, Ketel, but do it again. Do it again. That focus. Sure, you might not go 2 for 4 with a dinger and a stolen base and a walk. And 3 fantastic defensive plays. But give me game 3 of this series with the same focus as game 2, and let's see what happens. That would be awesome. Hey, I had to tell you, I think it was last week, McKenna, my youngest, she did the Santan Ford mobile unit. She was blown away. She said, oh my gosh, it was so convenient. She's in the middle of moving into her Tempe apartment to get ready for her senior year of college. She's in the middle of visiting friends in Tempe who were taking summer classes. She had a lot going on last week. And somebody drives up, changes the oil, leaves, pay for it, we're done. Great. And she can keep doing the things she needed to do. Man, I don't know where you are in life, but the mobile unit saves you time. So if you are somebody that's always running out of time, why not set your own schedule so someone changes your oil at your convenience? Doesn't that make sense? So next time you have an East Side lunch appointment, next time you have a big appointment, you have a big meeting, how about this? Just have Santan Ford come out and change your oil right there. It's brilliant. The mobile unit at Santan Ford, you can schedule it online right now at santanford.com, or you can just call over to the service department if you want. Easy to find their number. Just go to santanford.com, and it's right there on the front page. It'll say service, boom, and the phone number. It's santanford.com, 202 in Val Vista. I am Santan Ford. Just one other small quick note on the Diamondbacks. Want to give you a little bit on what Blaze Alexander is doing. He went 1 for 3 yesterday. He was one of the victims of the Nate Tomlinson strike zone, in which he struck out looking on a pitch that was a strike in the 6th, but the second pitch in the at-bat was so egregiously called a strike, it really, really screwed him. Del Castillo was a victim in the 7th, and then Locklear was a terrible victim in the 8th on a horrible call, and then, of course, the big one was Perdomo in the 9th when Torrey got ejected. Having said that, Blaze Alexander went yard in his day of going 1 for 3 plus getting hit by a pitch. He's now batting .273. He's only played 33 games this year. Here's his slash line: 273, 366, 477. Now, keep in mind, an elite player, those numbers are 300, 400, 500. I'm not trying to say that Blaze should be elite or needs to be elite, but in only really his second stint in the big leagues, I'm very happy with 273, 366, and 477. And then the question, what are you going to be able to do in the offseason? And most importantly, he is a legitimate defensive third baseman. Not stellar, not great, but I would say above average now. And I would say last year, I don't think he reached below average at any point in the year. I would say he had a poor year defensively last year, and I might be being nice by saying poor. This year, pretty good. So the 273, 366, 477 slash line in 37 games. Got 4 homers and 13 RBIs. Now, that would translate to a full year as 20 home runs and 64 RBIs. You want more than that from your third baseman. But a little of that is he hasn't earned the right to move up in the lineup yet. And plus he's got decent speed, so I know Torey Lovello likes to bat him kind of low in the lineup. But usually I like him in the 9 hole. I would have had Herrera bat 8th. Herrera is such a disaster. I would have batted him 8th and Blaze 9th. I don't want Herrera clogging up the bases in front of him. But I think what Torey is thinking is if Blaze gets on, I'll have Herrera bunt him over and use that as a sacrifice to then set up the top of my lineup to knock Blaze in. The only negative with Blaze is he's already 26. And I know that sounds totally ridiculous to say he's already 26, acting like that's old. But the problem is he's now going to be going into year 3 as a major leaguer, and he'll be 27 next year. You know, we need to move this thing along here. He's not the young kid prospect anymore. It's time for heavy production. But what's he going to be able to do in the offseason to prepare to be the starting third baseman of the 2026 D-backs? This part of the season really matters for Blaze. And I bet he can get a lot of lessons in, positive and negative, to get ready. But I just thought we should keep an eye on him, take a minute and say, you know what? He's moving in an amazingly positive direction right now as maybe not a cornerstone of the franchise, but somebody that you go into the season of next year, you go into the offseason upcoming thinking third base is secure. Doesn't mean we won't take a shot if there's a great option at third base somewhere else. If they can get a great third baseman, hey, knock yourself out. But it's not going to be, as of now, it's not a position of need. He's not stable enough to where we say it's a done deal, right? This was game 121 yesterday. So you've still got over 40 games remaining on the season. And this could certainly go south, but right now it's going north. All right, coming up next, let's talk football. Let's do a little Cardinals and let's do a little ASU on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. You know what time it is. It's summer in Arizona. You've got to have the Parker & Sons phone number ready to go. Air conditioning in Phoenix is too important to trust anybody but the best. Parker & Sons were recommended to us when we first moved here. That was 17 years ago. They've been on time every time. They've gotten it right the first time every time. Call 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602, the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker & Sons.
Let's go, Unplugged Army. It's Angel from Burrito Express, one of the original sponsors of Doug Franz Unplugged. We got a huge event coming up, August 24th, 9 to 11 at my Tempe location on University and Rule. We've got some of the superstars right now that play for ASU and some of the future superstars of the NFL. We got free sip lemonade. We got free stickers for the kids. Get autographs, take pictures with these guys. We'd love to see you all there, August 24th.
Let's do this. Cardinals flying up, maybe even while you're listening, already on the plane flying up to Denver today. Joint practice tomorrow. Then light practice on Friday, a pregame practice where it's heavy walkthrough. You usually do some pretty good conditioning, but you save the legs and you get ready for the football game on Saturday. No word as of yet on who's playing, meaning whether or not the starters are going to go. It seemed like it worked, and it seemed like it's important to get them going, but I'll believe it when I see it. I could easily see this turning into Camp Pillow fight again and having Kyler get his reps against the Broncos on tomorrow, but not on Saturday, and then again not playing in game 3. I hope I'm wrong. After seeing what we saw, to me, you should be playing more of Kyler. But to Jonathan Gannon, who continually talks about, hey, everything's great with Kyler, I don't see him doing it. Like, for an example, I didn't plan on playing this one first, but I will now because I'm going here. The question was asked about the team and coming back against Kansas City and, you know, the guys that maybe have struggled playing well. And immediately Jonathan Gannon, when talking about resiliency, went back to Kyler.
Kyler, he throws a bad interception, as he would say, a bad ball. And then the next play he comes out and throws just an absolute dime for an explosive pass. That shows resiliency. You know what I mean? He was able to let that go, get focused back into what he needs to do and perform. But that looks different with all our guys. You know, it really does. That's why it's the brain is so interesting. But they need to have a game plan for that, all of them, coaches too.
Even though he threw out the caveat, as Kyler would say, a bad interception, I'm at least glad Jonathan Gannon is not. I don't know why I couldn't say glad and Gannon. That was weird. I'm happy, that made it easier, that Jonathan Gannon was willing to call it what it was, a bad interception. Admittedly, you could argue, okay, show me a good interception. I get that. But if Kyler has the right pre-snap read, goes through post-snap validation, throws the ball on time, accurately hits the receiver in the hands, and it ricochets into a defender, we don't label that as a bad interception. That's all on the receiver. If Kyler misthrows a ball, I get worried because he's not a good enough reader of the defense to then on top of it compound it with a physical error. You know, a lot of times for me, I forgive physical errors a lot more than mental errors. Like if you like when I'm talking baseball with you, if somebody that's a really good outfielder drops a fly ball, I'm not really going to say much. Like, yeah, that stunk. You got to make that play. Boom. And the reason why is simple. Because the game's hard and I understand crap happens. But if it's a guy that's continually unfocused and I know doesn't spend the time working on his craft and he drops a fly ball, then that goes into the see, I told you so. You know, and I'm guns a-blazing because I feel like we spend good money to go watch you perform and you can't even focus for the millions that you're getting for our enjoyment that we're paying you. And on top of it, you just don't care. You just totally disrespect the game. Okay, that drives me. I mean, that makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Is the only way I can describe it. I get so frustrated. But a physical error, I'm usually like, well, you know, that happens. With Kyler, I don't give him a break on the physical errors either. And I'll refer to Brett from Hydro Air Lab, who emailed into Town Hall Tuesday yesterday. When Kyler misthrows a ball in a game, it has a lot to do with his lack of intensity in practice. The game is so ramped up for him that he has a hard time controlling the emotion sometimes, which affects his mechanics. Why? Because he doesn't carry the same intensity into a practice. All right, injury front. JG, what are we looking at?
Simi will be back out there today. Justin Jones still battling a little bit of a knee. Guys with, bumps and bruises. Dalvin won't be out there today, but it's kind of the norm with everybody, I guess. Gaines will be back out there today.
I just always You might find that boring. I just always think that's important for you to know exactly where everybody stands. Hear it straight from him. If you're a hardcore Cardinal or if you're a fantasy football guy, injuries are vitally important. Boom, there you know. But as I'm kind of hard on JG for the way he handles Kyler, one thing I think is really cool is to hear this. This is defensive lineman Dante Stills. And last week, Jonathan Gannon talked about how hard he is on Dante Stills. And he says it's because he believes in him so much that he knows how great he can be and he wants him to get there. So Stills was asked about those comments about JG being tough on him.
Yeah, he's definitely hard on me, but, I appreciate that. I'd rather have a coach be hard on me than just not talk to me. So I definitely take that, as motivation that, he wants to see me do good and play well. So I try to go out there and do my job and just fly around.
By the way, let me disclose something in the middle here. I have never read anything, and I've said this before on the show, so sorry to repeat it. I've never read anything in Dante Stills' life about a stuttering issue. And a lot of times I will clean up audio if somebody has a bunch of uhs or just something that I feel like, hey, I can help you make the podcast smoother. And I take out some of the funny mouth sounds that people make. I don't touch Dante Stills' audio. The reason why I don't is out of great respect. I don't know the man at all, okay? So please know that. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for him because a lot of guys that have a stuttering issue would not do a press conference. They don't want that exposed or make that, right in their face. And I think it takes so much courage to go into and to do a press conference when you've got a communications issue like that. I just think it's really cool. So full disclosure, I hope you're not annoyed by it, but I'm always going to play the full audio because one thing I don't know, there could be a member of the Unplugged Army who either has an issue or has a child with the issue. And can you imagine how powerful it is for them to hear Dante Stills having just a couple glitches and getting right through it and still saying really cool and poignant things that advance our knowledge of the game. So hopefully you don't mind me doing that at all. I've only got one more for you from Dante Stills. Well, first of all, let me tell you about what I thought about what he said. I just love the fact that you acknowledge you're not be all end all. And when the coach is hard on you, it's because he believes in you and there's more that you can get there. But I would also caution any of you that are a boss. Does the employee that you're hard on know how much you care? Thought this was going to be a short show. Let me tell you a story. One of the favorite kids I ever coached in soccer. She had a way of running sometimes that made it look like she was coasting. And so a lot of coaches that she had in the past didn't appreciate her, in my opinion. And I thought she was my best player. But even though she was my best player, that was why sometimes I would ride her really, really hard. And I mean, it was like sometimes I look back on it and I kind of think, man, I was way too hard on her for that. I really do. But I was hard on her. Well, fast forward. I'm probably her coach. And it's funny, you just coach. I don't remember ages at all. But let's say I was her coach from age 8 to age 13. So you might say, well, that's only 5 years. Yeah, but it's 2 seasons a year. I mean, it's an 11-month job. I'm there. I'm in her life all the time. I'm in her grill all the time. Well, I went to one of her high school games. And afterwards, I walk her to her car. Which, as I think back, man, God bless the relationship that I have with her, because how creepy is it for an old man to walk a high school girl to her car when, but I love the kid. She knows me. And as we're walking, I said, "You're not playing with joy." And she said, "I don't like she said something. I want to keep some of it private because somebody might, turn that against her if they knew who I was talking about." But she said some unflattering things about the circumstances of the team. Put it that way. Why I was still happy with her is she still played hard through her frustrations with the team. But I could tell there wasn't happiness. And then she talked about how hard the coach is to play for. And I said point blank, there's no way he's harder on you than I was. And she laughs and she goes, no, he's not. But then she said, and I might get emotional. She said, but I knew how much you cared. When you would get on me, I knew that you believed in me. And when she said that, I said her name to her to look her straight in the eye. So I'm going to make up a name. This isn't her name, but I said, Sarah, and I couldn't say another word. All I said was her name and I. And she finished my sentence. And she said, believe in me more than I do. And I would tell her constantly, Sarah, I believe in you more than you do. And I meant it because she had that wall that some people put up that says, it's almost as if I don't want to find out where I fail. I don't want to put everything into something because what if I fail? And they stop themselves. There are people that stop themselves from success because they're afraid to find out they're not good enough. Instead of realizing if you're afraid to find out you're not good enough, then you already are not good enough. But it's you that stopped you, not the man, not your boss, not society, not circumstances. Nothing else is at fault but you when you stop yourself because fear grips you. I don't have a fear of failure. I have a hatred of it. Now, that hatred of failure is usually a good thing, but for me, I cross the line. I go too far in my hatred of failure, that it drives me to a point that's just not normal and not safe, and it's dumb. When I fail, I need to accept it and move on. And I get consumed by why did it happen, right? And that's okay to a point, but I know I take it to an unhealthy point. But when she said that to me, it almost validated 5 years of my life. I felt like I gave to her what was given to me by some of my coaches. And it felt great. It just felt great. Because there were multiple times in my soccer coaching career where I sat, where I drove home thinking I was too hard on Sarah. And to hear her say that to me was gold. it was gold. And so why am I bringing that up? Because you hear it in Dante Stills right there. So if you are a boss, do not go after your employees if they don't know how much you appreciate them. And if they know, don't stop challenging them. And if you're the employee and you think your boss is too much in the way they ride you on something, challenge them back in a closed door. Close the door and say, we need to talk. You ride me too hard for what I know about you. Just say it. If I know that you care and believe in me, I can accept how hard you are on me. But I just need you to know, I don't feel that. I don't feel that you totally believe in me, and that's why you push me so hard. I need to know that. And see where that goes. And then I promise you, if it gets you fired, then I'll interview you on the show. It'll be your own. The Unplugged Army will be your own version of LinkedIn, and we'll get you a job somewhere else. All right, let me get back to JG. I thought this was interesting. How often do we talk long snapper? But JG was asked a simple question about the captains. How do you choose captains for the preseason? What does somebody do? Captains during the season, blah, blah, blah. So he just starts answering preseason and then lets everybody know who's going to be the captain for the Denver game. And then there's silence for a while. And he just decides, I'm going to talk about Aaron Brewer.
Well, the captains go out. We vote for captains, so that's what we'll do. We haven't done that yet. Preseason, I pick them. Who goes out? Just one. Aaron Brewer will go out this week. He doesn't know that. Now he does. Played in Denver. Aaron Brewer is awesome. He's a pro's pro. He's been done it a long time at a high level. And he is not an outcast specialist. He's a football player, great teammate. I'm glad that he's here.
Did you hear that little segment there in the middle? I mean, he just ends the topic about Aaron Brewer and then just decides, I'm not done talking about him. Aaron Brewer's awesome.
Now he does. Played in Denver. Aaron Brewer's awesome.
The reason why I wanted to replay it is when you talk about Gannon and why I have said from the beginning, man, I think Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon are good at their job. And lightning quick, kind of a story about my own decision. I have been in the Cardinals facility once since I got fired. Because this sounds hilarious. I didn't ask. I just assumed when I'm working with 12 News, I'm allowed in. And when I'm working as a podcaster, I'm not. So, and 12 News used to give, or excuse me, the Cardinals used to give me a credential when 12 News requested. And then out of nowhere, they stopped after I exposed the Terry McDonough situation. Well, I went to the Jonathan Gannon introductory press conference because 12 News said, hey, will you come in with us? And then we're going to shoot an opinion piece afterwards, live, right after the presser. I remember walking out of there being amazed at Jonathan Gannon, just thinking he's fantastic. He's exactly what the team needs. And then when you hear that little piece, I know it's a little thing about Aaron Brewer, but number one, the highest compliment you can ever give us a specialist, kicker, punter, or long snapper, is call him a football player. I hate to say it, a lot of those guys aren't football players. A lot of them are kickers. And a holder's a holder. A snapper's a snapper. They're not all that special. But when you call your long snapper a football player, that is high praise. And there was nothing there to talk about. I mean, the question was about captains. The question was about what happens for you to decide who's going to be the captain, especially in the preseason. And then out of nowhere, he just offers Brewer's going to be the captain. He played in Denver. He's awesome. He's a football player. We're glad to have him. He's not, blah, blah, blah. That was all off the cuff. And that lets you know Brewer's a good dude. Okay, last one from Jonathan Gannon. He was asked about Yetta Froholt because Froholt met with the media. I listened to the whole Froholt press conference, but it was boring. I didn't think he said anything that was worth your while. You can always go to azcardinals.com or their YouTube page and watch all of the pressers if you're ever interested in doing that. But I consider it my job to do it for you and then play the things that I think will help make you a better Cardinals fan by listening. And I thought it was interesting what he said about Froholt.
Man, kind of the glue, he has the most loaded up plate mentally that he handles really well. He sets the tone for our mode of play, and he's a fantastic pro, fantastic teammate. He's a Cardinal through and through. He's, exemplifies team over you. He puts a lot into his craft, and I bounce a lot of things off of Fro. He's been in a couple teams, and he's got really good viewpoints on a lot of things that I talk to him a lot.
I thought that was really nice, and I think it's important for us. I always try to do this for you. I hope I do a good job of it. Separating player from person. And here's why that's important to me. Yetta Froholt, I thought, played terrible Saturday. But none of that takes away anything that Jonathan Gannon just said. You can be the blue, you can be the guy, you can do this, you can have everything on your plate, you got this, you got this. All of those things can be true, and you can have a bad game. Really interested in seeing what he does Saturday night. Really interested. When I look up and down the entire roster, I don't think Kyler's going to play, but I don't know. But the two guys I would say I'm looking at more than anybody else are Kyler Murray and Yetta Froholt. Because that pick was so bad and Yetta was so bad. That's on my radar. All right, that's Cardinals. Let's do a little ASU. And you might be wondering if you're a Wildcat fan, hey, why are you always doing ASU and you occasionally do U of A? As I'm trying to grow the podcast and I'm trying to get into video a little bit and moving in that direction, I'm busy all day working on that. And I don't I don't have time to listen to all the assistant coach pressers. And U of A substitutes Brent Brennan for the assistant coaches a lot. ASU, Kenny Dillingham talks and the assistant coaches talk. So then I admit I kind of read Twitter, and if one of the assistant coaches said something that got attention on Twitter, then I listen to the assistant coaches conversation. But because I'm not listening to assistant coaches for either team, well, then I don't get a lot of U of A stuff, which I think is a mistake for U of A. And here's why. You know the phrase, "Look, to the winner goes the spoils"? If you're looking at the two football programs, and I don't say this as a jerk, who's winning? Right? We're talking football, we know, and we're talking basketball, we know. But if we're talking football, if Kenny Dillingham is meeting with the media after every single practice, he's always defining the message. He's always clarifying the focus of the program. And he's a media darling, which you might say, yeah, he talks too much. No, I say what he does is he continually keeps ASU in the news because he's so good at press conferences. I wouldn't say Brent Brennan is making a mistake by not talking to the media after every practice in other states. Or I wouldn't say he's making a mistake if he's a consistent 9-win, coaching a 9-win team and every now and then competing for a Big 12 championship. I wouldn't say, then it's like, do whatever you do. But when you appear to be so far below your in-state rival, I think a state that's very important. We could argue like the rivalry, in my opinion, and I'm going to make some people mad, the Territorial Cup rivalry isn't nearly as big as the in-state rivalry is in other states. But what I will say is I think it's one of the most important for the outcome in the future, because ASU is positioned with Kenny Dillingham to be relevant for years. U of A is not. So if I'm U of A, I would be saying, let's do more like Kenny does. And I would be having Brent Brennan talk every day. Okay, having said that, here we go. Kenny Dillingham, I always like to start off with just the simple house practice.
Good response by the offense today. Offense, quote unquote, won the day, if you want to say that. We had 3 real periods of scrimmage, and they scored 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, field goal to win a 2-minute drill. Then we had second and play it, and they were 3 for 4 in those drives. So good day here by the offense. Defense, explosive day. Like, you had some really good plays, and then all of a sudden we give up a 3rd and 17, right? Can't have those,
Just a big fan of his honesty and his bluntness there. By the way, I just finished my beers. So thanks again, 100 Mile Brewing Company, 202 Rural and Scottsdale Road. Best beer in the state, A Mountain Amber Ale. But most importantly to me, just the people. You're really going to enjoy the place if you go. And by the way, they have board games. I love board games. Anybody like Risk? My family hates Risk. No one will play Risk with me. We can get like 5 people. And I mean the old game of Risk. If we could ever get 5 people to come play Risk and sit and have beers at 100 Mile Brew, oh yeah. No one's ever done a Risk get together, have they? I don't care how geeky that would be. I don't care. I'm if you're ever interested in that, I am totally in on doing something like that. All right. Anyway, let me move on. All right, I had a lot of trouble hearing the questions of the presser. I was not at the presser. I was hoping to go, but man, I really needed the sleep yesterday, so I didn't go. But in watching the presser, technically, if you just know, it's a media scrum. It wasn't a press conference, but it's just easier to call it a presser. Kenny was asked about a couple players and just the dramatic physical change that it appears that they've undergone. And whether that was a deliberate thing, what was said to them, and kind of giving a little bit of what happened in the offseason. How did we get where we are? And he said, yeah, it was deliberate, but listen to where he goes in talking about preparing for Sunday football.
Yeah, that was a conscious decision that, we had success last year, and they're all back on this team. Well, if those guys would have been draftable grades last year, they'd be gone, and I would have told them to leave, right? They weren't, and they realized, man, I got to do more to get my body in position to become that, and they did. And that's what I'm most proud of, is those guys really took the challenge of, I'm Clayton, I need to be 255 pounds, I'm doing it. I'm Prince Torba, I got to be around 250, I'm doing it. I'm CJ, I got to have a better pass rush inside, I'm doing it. Jacob, same thing. Elijah, same thing. Watt, same thing. He was the strongest guy in our bigs because CJ was out for a little bit. They took ownership together on being the very best they could be this year, and I think it's showing throughout fall camp.
His voice kind of trailed off there. He says, I think it's showing in fall camp. If they would have been ready for the NFL and the draft, then they wouldn't be here, and I would have told them to leave. But here are the things that they needed to work on in order to be more draftable. And they embraced it. I'm completely stealing an opinion, which is embarrassing, that I read on the YouTube comments. I have never stolen someone's opinion on YouTube comments before, but I really loved what the guy wrote. Other teams are running around trying to poach other people's great players and hoping they're great for them. Kenny Dillingham is teaching his good players how to be great. Yeah, that was strong. Didn't you think so? That was strong. So that led into a conversation about the maturity of the team and the age of the team, because this isn't one of those teams anymore where you say, well, it's a young team. Last year was special. Last year was crazy, but let's just be blunt here. Last year was not supposed to happen. That's impossible what happened. I cannot underline enough the destruction of the Herm Edwards. And gosh, I can't even remember the guy's name now. Ray Anderson. that was real life dead end. I could not remember Ray Anderson's name. The way they destroyed this program due to their own arrogance. It should have been a 5-year process to get out of that. Kenny did it in 18 months. That's crazy. So now this is the year where you hope to get close to what you did last year. And you still shouldn't be able to get to what you did last year, even this year. It's usually that hard. But having said that, the maturity portion is there. And I really liked how Kenny described the little things that let him know that the maturity is there.
The maturity level, we have a list that goes out every day about everybody who was late to academics, to weight room, to weigh-ins, to meals, to meetings. Every department they could be in, we have a list. Every day we get who was late. You don't see those guys on many lists anymore. And it just shows you don't see our team on many lists anymore in general. You know, we got a text today that I know it's a stupid thing, but from academics that said this is the best enrollment we've ever had for fall classes. Like, that seems like such a little thing, right? It's the best team they've ever had enroll in their classes when they're supposed to. Holy cow. But those are the things that I look at and say, okay, all they did was what they were supposed to do. That is so hard. Most people, they don't do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. They don't hit a minimum standard of operating. And if our team is hitting that minimum standard when it comes to registering for classes, right, that is a really good sign as a program.
I think one of the greatest words in the English language is entitlement. It's an amazing word. It goes right to the core of your soul. People that believe in entitlements. Forgive my college loan because it's hard, but allow me to spend an endless amount of money on travel, my phone, tattoos, whatever. Okay, now wait a minute. You have every right to be free and spend your money on whatever you want. But you made a commitment that said you were going to pay back that loan, and now you say, I'm swarming under that debt, somebody save me, but you don't want to look at what you're spending your own money on. Explain that. I mean, with real logic, explain that. Oh, it was a predatory lending service. Okay, you were the prey. Did you not figure it out? Did you not say, wait a minute, this isn't going well? A little bit of a soapbox issue there. Sorry if you didn't like it. I don't think that was political. Somebody else will say, oh, it's no, that wasn't political. That was, you either are a person of honor or you are not. You either sign your name to a document and it means something to you or you are not. Case in point with our family, the first house we owned here in Phoenix, we got frighteningly underwater. we had to bring, Jennifer's going to be mad that I'm telling you this, but we had to bring $29,000 to closing just to get out of the loan. The house was that upside down. It was crazy. But whose fault was it? I'm the one that signed a document that said, I owe you this. It didn't say anywhere in there, however, if the market changes and my home loses value, I don't have to pay for it. No, I had to pay for it. So I didn't do a short sale. I didn't do the cheesy buy a home somewhere else and then lock the keys in my old house and, oh, no, I can't pay. No, that's not honorable to me. Now, if you did that, God bless you. You know, I don't judge you. My job is to judge myself. And I couldn't do it that way. And that's why I love what Kenny is saying, because I think what those kids think about the entitlement. I'm here to play football at this school. The least the school can do is to set my calendar, set my appointments, enroll me for classes. Hey, you're the student aide. You're the aide here. You take care of my enrollment. And Kenny is saying, hey, we had perfect enrollment. Everybody did what they were supposed to do and got themselves enrolled into their classes. And he's kind of laughing because he knows there's a lot of people that are going to rip him for celebrating what you're supposed to do. Because any other kid, like if there's a guy that's actually working his way through Arizona State, who has a full-time job and is taking classes every time they can afford it or every time they can, my friend Anissa, who is on the 7.5-year plan. It took her that long to graduate because she couldn't take off enough time for work. She had to keep saving money and then mixing in a class or two. It was that hard for her to afford it. But she did it and bankrolled it herself. God bless her, by the way. But the point of that was, do you think she's going to celebrate enrolling herself in a class? She's just going to do it. That's what I have to do. No one's here to do it for me. Well, with those kids, someone is there to do it for them. But they did it. That means you're dealing with over 100 student athletes that don't have entitlement that somebody else should have done it for them. Now, on the one hand, I can see where you'd argue, so how does that win football games? Where is the college football stat that says enrollment percentage? I get it. But to me, it's a window in their soul that there's zero entitlement. I can't get anything unless I earn it. And if you have 100 guys that believe in that, exactly. Like, I don't have to finish, right? You went there before I did. Really cool. Well, on top of that, maturity. It was interesting. Kenny then went into channeling your emotion because we're now at the next level of maturity within the program. And he actually admits there were some personal fouls last year that maybe they're his fault.
That's just our football team. I think we're learning to channel passion. You know, when you get somewhere and we're in year one, it's like, can we just show it? I don't care. I just want to see it that it matters. Year two, it's like, okay, I want to see that it matters, and we're going to make some stupid mistakes because I'm preaching that it matters so much. We're going to late hit. We're going to do something stupid, right? I'll own that. Year three, it's can you channel the passion to play as hard as we do, but also not have stupid mistakes. I think that's the progression we're trying to make as a program, is to channel that passion in the right direction.
Love it. Okay, last one from Kenny that I thought was really good. He was asked about whether or not he is seeing the explosive plays, because he was specific before camp of that's what they need to work on this year, is getting more explosive plays. And he was asked, you know, how that's going and being able to work on it. And, you know, do you anticipate calling more? And I really liked his answer. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I want to talk to you about it. I thought this was a really good football statement. And I learned something from him, even though I didn't really agree with it, about calling explosive plays.
Yeah, if we can get into manageable down and distances, play with leads, like if we can play good defense early, all that stuff affects it. If you're down 10 points, 14 points, or 7 points versus a good team on the road, and you get a 3rd and 1, and they're rolling your defense, you got to keep the ball. You may have a big play, but possession of the ball and keeping your defense off the field is vital. So it has to change how you call it. If your defense is not on the field and they're playing good defense and getting off the field, you can call the game more effectively, aggressively on offense, because you're not worried about how many snaps your defense is playing as much, because they're not defending 9, 12-play drives. So I think it all goes together with the flow of the game. You as an offensive coordinator cannot put your defense on the field 85, 90 times and expect them to, shut people down. Like, people get tired. That's the reality of it. So I think complementary football may allow us to be more aggressive.
I never really looked at it the way he's describing. First of all, let's get into the brilliance of the statement. Do you remember what a failure Cliff Kingsbury was as the head coach? I think he's a really good offensive coordinator, because I think there's a head coach telling him, we're not doing it your way, you're doing it my way, but you're the one designing the plays. I've always said he's a great play designer. But he did not understand, hey, if I score points, that's it. I did my job. The offense did their job. Now you're the defensive guy. Go do something about it. And what Kenny Dillingham is explaining, we might have an explosive play that we could call on 3rd and 2. Like a Cam Scadaboo pass against Texas. We've got an explosive play here. But the risk of putting our defense back on the field since they're tired or they've been run over so far, that's too big of a risk. We can't try the chunk play out of fear of, if it doesn't work, our defense is back on the field. So we need to run the ball. We need to be conservative and just get the first down so we can keep the ball longer to rest our defense. Versus our defense is playing lights out. They're continually getting 3 and outs or only allowing a first down or 2 and forcing punts. So you know what? We can be a little aggressive here. We can do an explosive play on a 3rd and 1. They're expecting us to run, and then we're going to take a shot because we can, because we're not afraid right now, because even if it doesn't work, our defense is rested, our defense is playing well. So the flow of the game dramatically affects the shot plays. I think, I knew that subconsciously. You've heard me millions of times saying, oh, why did they go for it here? Or why did this, stuff like that. Because I'm thinking about it after they do it. I'm thinking that was a mistake because of this. Yet he's explaining the thought process going into the play call before it happens. The one thing I will say, and I wish I was there to follow up on it, because he doesn't say this. But when he talks about explosive plays for this year, I would have to assume 90% of their plays has an element of explosion in it. You remember when we've talked about the route tree before? So the reason why it's called a route tree is it does kind of look like a long stem for the base of your route, and then the different directions your route can go kind of look like a kindergartner's tree or something that they would draw. But a 9 route is don't stop, just go straight ahead. And an 8 route is a post. So you run down the field, you fake like you're going to the sideline, and it really is a post. You kind of run right at the goalpost in the back of the end zone. And as you corner that off, what you're hoping is that gets you inside the cornerback. And either the safety is away from you and you're open, or if the safety's on you, now 2 guys are guarding you and that opens up somebody else. So those are 2 routes on the route tree, the 9 route and the 8 route. Or otherwise, if you use words, the go route or the post. Well, having said that, those routes are baked into everything. So it's not like you necessarily call a shot play. You don't call a play and say, hey, we're throwing it deep here. The route has the entire play has route concepts, and then it becomes a read. If the safety jumps this route, I throw it here. If they're in zone and the linebacker is here, I throw it there. But the play has the explosive play in it. And that's the point. And so it was weird for him to talk about this is when we call explosive plays, when I would have to, like I said, 80 to 90% of all the plays have an explosive element in it. It's just about reading it. You do not want Sam Levitt throwing a 9 route to a guy that's double covered. That makes no sense. That's an easy interception. Unless it's like 4th and 15. All right, fine, chuck it up, and it's better than a punt. Something like that. But I wish I was there. I'm sorry I wasn't there to follow up on that and say, okay, I get when there's more leverage for you to call the explosive plays, but aren't all plays supposed to be explosive? What's the difference? I'll try to get that question into him in the near future. Okay, that does it for Cardinals and ASU. Coming up next, Angel Marin, Burrito Express, talking about why he gets involved so heavily in ASU and helping to promote the big event that's coming up on August 24th, and then versus Vegas. On Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass.
Here is Sue Rigler on 100 Mile Brewing Company.
This room that we're in right now is called the Roadrunner Room, and it is our private event space. It's 1,200 square feet and accommodates up to 80 seated, about 120 standing mingling. We have comedy night in here on Friday nights, and we've had board meetings, luncheons for ASU. We've had city council member, the mayor's been in here, Mayor Corey Woods. We have cornhole in here, so whatever really you want the space, we'll set it up for you.
100 Mile Brewing Company. Fresh. It never gets old.
So Unplugged Army, I think you know this, but every time there's an event at Burrito Express, I always want to bring Angel on for a multitude of reasons. Number one, Angel is one of the originals. Burrito Express, one of our 3 original sponsors. Mikey at Bell's Nashville Kitchen, and then Parker and Sons Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, and then Angel and Burrito Express. It was those 3 right all at the same time. Boom. We believe in you, Doug. Let's do this. And I can't tell you what it's like to be a fired dude having no idea if podcasting is going to work and have 3 people say, we're here for you. Angel is one of them. So I will take a bullet for the man. But here's the rules. You know this full well as a member of the Army. I give you everything I have every night absolutely for free with one agreement. You find a way to go to the sponsor. So if you're in the mood for hot chicken, go to Bell's. But whenever you want the greatest breakfast burrito in the history of Arizona, you can also call ahead and cater a big lunch for the office, a big dinner, whatever you want. Angel will set you up, and Angel's on right now because they have another big event coming up in a week and a half. First of all, Angel, you know me well enough to know that I say screw the business versus family. Nothing's more important than family. So how's the family? And how's the greatest name in the history of children, Stryker, doing?
We're all doing great. The wife's good. All the kids are good. Stryker's great too. Doug, the introduction is over the top. You're awesome, man. I don't know how to say it, but you are the epitome of Sun Devils support Sun Devils. That's kind of my hashtag thing, and I think all your followers are kind of onto it as well. But it's the truth, man. If we just support each other, right? All your listeners support us. We support you. We support the other businesses that have taken a risk and jumped on the bandwagon. That's what it's all about, man. I mean, when you say family, I thought you were going to talk about me and you being family. My family's great. Dude, Mikey's my boy. He's part of my family. My family, my immediate family is fantastic. I hope the Unplugged family is great as well. But when we're talking about these events, I want all of them to come through. I want them to shake my hand, introduce themselves, say, "What's up, Angel?" If you don't grab a burrito, I won't be mad at you. But I want you to come by and support, not just me, support these ASU athletes, support the program, and support the Unplugged Army. That's what I want. That's really what I want in my soul.
I got to tell you, there is nothing better for me as the podcast continues to grow. As you playing golf at Whirlwind and the way you talk about Lou, I would say he's up to about twice a week flipping through one of the Burrito Expresses on his way into work when Civlik is a great grill. I mean, his own restaurant at work is fantastic, yet he still swings through and gets that. You playing golf with Mikey, us going to Bell's from time to time. And then I don't know if you realize it, we're getting more and more people that you would think would not be your audience. It's people that either went to ASU or from Arizona that have moved away, but they consider Unplugged their way to reconnect. And whenever they come home, the loyalty they have to you is crazy. I keep seeing pictures from people that are coming back from Detroit, back from Houston, back from New Orleans that said, "Hey, I'm back in Phoenix and I had to stop at Burrito Express to salute the Unplugged Army." That type of stuff isn't normal. You know what I mean? That's just cool the way the family sticks together.
It's super cool, man. And it's all because of what you started. We all try to stick together. It is. I see that stuff all the time, and I'm like, man, this is awesome.
This
is awesome. I mean, I'm not giving you $1 million, Doug. I'm not giving you a ton of money, but you took a chance, and I think together we're trying to make this work. You know, I play golf all the time at Whirlwind, and I get hooked up. I'm not going to lie, but every time I go there, I spend money on beer. I promise you that. Yes. And I buy myself a hat. Every time I go there, I buy myself a hat. Every time. I'm like, dude, this guy's going to take care of me. I'm not going to take advantage. I'm going to take care of him. I love Lou. We don't talk regularly, but we talk every couple of months. I'm going to pay money somehow or another to Whirlwind. And I know he patronizes my business. And I get a lot of these guys that come through Burrito Express, and I see it on social media. Man, I'm part of the Unplugged Army, and I'm going to stop at Burrito Express. And you don't know how much I appreciate it. As we continue to grow together, it's just going to get better and better and better. And who knows, you know, maybe this thing just gets crazy and we all just get crazy together.
I love it. And you deserve it. Just, I don't know if I do, because I'm just sitting here in my wife's office and I stay up all night doing the podcast, but you have another event coming up, which I know you might get bored with this question, but I never get bored asking you, because I don't think you give yourself and your brother Mark enough credit. It is not normal for a business at your scope. I mean, you're a business. You're not a small business anymore, but you're at the high end of a small business, or you're at the low end of a medium business. And yet you do more for ASU than any other small business. And I don't have any anecdotal evidence to prove this. I swear you do more for your college than any small business in the country does. The way that you care, you reach out. So you've got an event coming up on August 24th. And I just wanted to give you a minute to talk about, because it's so cool that you're doing well financially because you've worked hard, but you're not rich, and yet you don't stop, and you're already doing something like giving back to get the kids of ASU to learn business. I mean, Angel, that's really cool. So if I can help you get a free plug, I want it and I think the Unplugged Army respects you from that standpoint. So give them all the go code on what's coming up on the 24th.
Awesome. Thanks again for even having me on. We're having our fourth annual meet and greet at Burrito Express, August 24th from 9 to 11. Obviously, we do it for us, but I do it for these football players. They love it. They enjoy it. They love signing autographs. They love shaking hands. They love taking pictures. So I'm going to have 4 of the superstars on the ASU team. They're all starters. They're going to be there. And who knows, they could be superstars in the NFL soon. We want to hype this up. We want everybody to show up. We want the Unplugged Army to show up. We want every ASU fan to show up. I'm going to have Kyson Brown there. Going to be one of the running backs. I hope he's a starter. We'll find that out. Xavier Alford, starting free safety. CJ Fight, starting defensive tackle. And Tramon Mateer, starting tight end. All these guys are going to be there. We're going to have free stickers for the kids. We're going to have free Sip Lemonade, which is another NIL deal that I'm doing with Kyson Brown. His nickname is Sip. So all that stuff is going to be there. Hopefully Kenny shows up. We'll have some of the big dogs from ASU. Hopefully Graham shows up. And we just would love your support. We want you guys to come through and take pictures, shake hands. Some of these guys are going to be in the NFL. We hope they all make it to the NFL. But we would really just love to get this thing as big as we can. We want to make this the biggest one we've ever done. I mean, last year, if you'd have come by, you'd have been hanging out with Cam Scadaboo, taking pictures with Cam Scadaboo, getting Cam Scadaboo's autograph, his sticker. You'd have been hanging out with him for half an hour. You know, you could have talked to him, taken pictures, taken video with him. This hopefully is how it's going to be moving forward. These guys are superstars. We're also starting another NIL deal with these players. We got 2 new burritos that are going to be announced on the 24th. We got an offense burrito and a defense burrito. And each of these players are going to get paid per burrito, $2 per burrito. At the end of the year, whoever sells the most burritos, whether it's offense or defense, I'm going to donate $1,000 via Burrito Express to a charity of the offense or defense's choosing.
That's awesome.
So we got Tramon Mateer and Kyson Brown. They're the offense. And we got CJ Fight and Xavier Alford on the defense. So they've each created their own burrito. One's called the first down, which is the offensive burrito. One's called the sack lunch, which is the defensive burrito. But I want to make it fun. I want to support these kids, man. I love ASU. I want to help these kids. I want these kids to grow, not just on the football field, but in the business world and learn how to market themselves. An avenue to do that, right? Working with small businesses at home, Burrito Express being one of them. You take that and you go and you get to national business. You go and you grow that into a huge business, right? And Cam has done Cam Scadaboo, I go back to him. He's done a great job. He's doing deals with Mattress Firm, which is a national company. He's doing business with creatine companies. I hope he would say, hey, I started with Burrito Express. I don't know if he would say that. Love the kid. I still talk to him every now and again, but that's where it started. It started with Burrito Express and me saying, Cam, you're not going to get rich off me. I love you, kid, but I'm not going to make you rich. But if you listen and you learn and you grow, you can get rich off of these kinds of deals. You do 10 of these, do 15 of these, you get to a national deal. Next thing you know, they're paying you millions.
It's so funny that you say that about Cam, because I've never had the chance to ask him how he feels about what I said. But we had a big road show in which you provided burrito at Magnum in Scottsdale. And we're there selling electric bikes. Cam stops by.
Yeah. I remember.
He got an electric. It was a huge event. And he looked at me, and I mean, you know the way Scat looks at you when he's intense. He looked at me in the way that he can look through your brain into your soul. And he asked me, how do you think we're going to do this year? And this is August of last year. So nobody knew. I thought I was the biggest homer in the world, sucking up, acting like they're going to be great. And I said, Scat, I think you're going to have an incredible year and you're going to lead ASU to a bowl game.
Yeah.
I thought I was so far, Angel, sticking my neck out to say this 3-win team was going to a bowl game. I thought I was incredible. I thought I was more supportive than any other person in the media to say they're going to a bowl game. And then, boy, do I look like an idiot when they go right through every bowl game and if it wasn't for a bad non-targeting call, they would have been competing for a national championship. And I tell that story because anybody that didn't go to Magnum that day is probably thinking, well, you know, who is Cam Scadaboo? Yeah, he might have been a fun player the year before with his punting and sometimes throwing, and you never would have known what would happen. And I asked those same people in the Unplugged Army, if you don't go to Burrito Express on the 24th, you're making the same poor assumption that I did that, hey, you guys might make a bowl game. I could easily see CJ working his way into a 3rd round pick. You know, and that's real. That's real football when you're a 3rd round pick. I could see Alford being the type of guy, I hate to admit it, that maybe doesn't get drafted or gets drafted in the 7th round, but ends up in a 10-year career anyway, because he just fights like hell and finds his way into a special teams job and is a great guy on punt cover and kickoff cover and finds a way to make it as a safety because he's so unrelenting. And the point is, Angel, we don't know. And yet this is your chance as a ASU fan to meet the guys that we have no idea what their future is going to hold, just like we didn't know Scat was really going to be that good.
100%. I'm not an agent or a talent scout, but I'll tell you what, these guys have the character to get us to the next level. That's why we are where we are. DJ Fight, Xavier and Alford, they're already, first, second, and third team Big 12ers. They are going to be first or second team Big 12 players. Jamal Mateer is going to be a Big 12 player, one of the top 3 teams. Mm-hmm. Kyson's going to break out this year. People are underestimating him. They think I hope Utah is a bad man. I hope they're all bad men. But I see these guys and I talk to them and I see the passion and I see the desire and I see the qualities. These guys are ready to rock and roll. They will run through a brick wall for Kenny.
I love how you said that these guys would run through a brick wall for Kenny, because I've been friends with Kenny for a little over 10 years. And at my age, I got to tell you, I would run into the brick wall for Kenny. I would
try to jump over it.
I can't run through it anymore, but I would I believe in you, Kenny. And I would run into the brick wall and then just fall down and have a beer at Bell's and a burrito from you. Yeah. And that would be it. But I wouldn't be able to get through it, I have to admit.
We're in the same boat, bro. You know that. But yeah, these guys are going to be studs, man. And we want to hype this thing up. We want as many people to come by. And I don't just want them to come by Burritos Fest. I want them to come by Burritos Fest, but I want them to support ASU. I want them to go to ASU games. I'm a diehard Sun Devil, man. I keep saying, I've said that to you a million times, Doug. And I love the Sun Devils. I love supporting these kids. I love supporting you. I love supporting our venture as entrepreneurs. That's where we're at, man.
All right. Love you, brother. Let me know if I can help anymore. And let's have you on again the week after the 24th, like the 26th or the 27th of August, just to kind of give us an update of how it went.
Okay. We'll talk soon. I appreciate you. I really do.
It's time for We're not even thinking about dancing today. Oh, it hurt. Okay, now listen. This shouldn't matter, right? It shouldn't matter. I went 2-4 yesterday, and it doesn't matter, but it felt like it did when I checked how I did. I got my first 2 games right. There's something about when you, I started 2-0 in just checking to see how I did. So I'm thinking immediately, okay, I was hoping to go 5-1, but 4-2 is okay. So since I'm already 2-0, all I have to do is go 2-2 the rest of the way. Just go 2-2 the rest of the way, and I'm 4-2 for the night, and I'm happy about that. And I went 0-4. And what a mistake to play that Cardinals game that just punched me in the face, since I played one game twice and missed them both. Oh, the Rockies. That's bad. Okay. I told you I thought the Cubs and Toronto pitching matchup was better than the total. I thought that total was outrageous at 9.5. So we took under at Rogers Center and we nailed it. Toronto won 5-1. I said that 6.5 was too low. I mean, I expected a close game, but not that low of under 6.5. So we went with the over 6.5, Pirates in Milwaukee. Brewers lit up Paul Skeens for 4 runs in only 4 innings. And then they put up a 10 spot against the bullpen and won the game 14-0. So we easily had the over on that one. But here's what's crazy about the game. Paul Skeens gives up basically a 9 ERA, 4 runs in 4 innings. So what does it do when you do that bad? 4 runs in 4 innings. What does that do to your ERA? It ballooned up to 2.13. His ERA is 2.13 after giving up 4 runs in 4 innings. Holy crap. So we got those 2 games right, and then the rest of it was abysmal. Cardinals covering the money line against the Rockies. They didn't cover because they didn't win. Rockies win 3-0. But definitely it's going to go over the 8.5 because the Cardinals are going to score so much. No, it's not. Colorado wins 3-0. It doesn't go over. So now we're even at 2-2. I told you Diamondbacks in Texas would score a lot of runs, so we took them over the 8.5. Diamondbacks win 3-2 in a great baseball game. And I really like the pitching matchup. Thought for sure the Giants would beat the Padres, and the Padres won 5-1. Ouch. So we go 2-4 yesterday. Today, I only found one baseball game I like. I like the pitching matchup. The Royals are at home. Nationals are bad. We'll take the Royals to cover the run line. So we'll take KC minus 1.5 against the Nats. And then I'm actually sticking my neck out. I'm going to take Seattle Storm in the WNBA plus the 1.5 against Atlanta. Here's my thinking on this, which if I'm you, I'm skipping this game because number one, I don't know anything about the WNBA. Nothing. Number two, Atlanta's on a 5-game winning streak. Seattle's on a 5-game losing streak. And what am I doing? Yes, I'm taking Seattle. Now, I realize it feels like, Doug, do you understand winning streaks and losing streaks? But that's why. If one's on a 5, at some point, each team's going to have their streak end, right? It's not like Atlanta's going to win the rest of the games this year. Plus, it's in Seattle. That's not easy to be that far from home. And I kind of have a general feeling that Atlanta's ready to get home from a road trip because they were just here taking on Phoenix. So they go home to take on Seattle Friday after a 3-game road trip. I do feel like they're like, hey, this would be the game that they might take off a little bit. So that's my thinking. So I'm taking Seattle plus the 1.5. Sound credits today. I went to YouTube and got Pete Alonso on the Mets YouTube page. I got Jonathan Gannon and Dante Stills on the Cardinals YouTube page. And I got Kenny Dillingham from Sun Devil Source. And then I got Ketel Marte from DBACKS.com. That does it for today's version of Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. Events that are coming up, I'll again repeat, you heard it from Angel, August 24th, 9 to 11 in the morning, Tempe location of Burrito Express. Please try to find a way to get out there. No, it is not a sanctioned event, but that just means a lot to me. Our sponsors mean a lot to me. And if there's any way that you can find a way to do it and represent the Unplugged Army, that would be great. So please try to do it. But I understand it's a big ask on a Sunday morning. I totally accept that it might not work into your family schedule. The other big news is what's going on at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. People that are interested in fantasy football, there is a big golf tournament happening at Whirlwind. You know what? I just thought of this. There's a big tournament happening at Whirlwind, and they're a little nervous they don't think they can get us the tee times on Labor Day weekend. One thing I didn't think of, I wonder if we could go do our draft and hang out, eat the wings, and then just come back and play golf. Or maybe get a voucher. I'll ask Sweet Lou that and see if that works. If not, what do you think of doing it coming up on this Saturday? Not this Saturday. I'm going to be getting dunked. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I'm helping raise money to fight homelessness in Tempe, and I'm going to be in a dunk tank at 100 Mile Brewing Company this Saturday. So what are you doing this Saturday? Number one, can you come out there and try to have your kids dunk me in a dunk tank? That might be kind of entertaining. That's number one. Number two, if we can't get the vouchers, what do you think of the 23rd as our draft? Does that sound good? I like that idea for us doing the 23rd. Okay. Oh, no. Al, are you kidding? I thought I had like a minute. Oh, that's so bad. Bell's Nashville Kitchen, Santan Ford, Parker & Sons Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, 100 Mile Brewing Company, where I'll be Saturday, at Trophy Bar in the Ocotillo Shopping Center in Chandler. Al, that was my worst one ever.
Doug, thank you so much. My best to your listeners, and keep up the work on Doug Franz Unplugged.